welcome or welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a review of The Summer King by O.R. Melling. And again, it's a very shiny cover, so it's hard to show it, but a really beautiful cover. So it took me a little bit longer to read this one, partially because I had other things going on and partially because I just didn't make myself read, but it was still a very good story. I did enjoy it, and I read the last 100 pages or so all in one day very quickly. Like, I just rushed through those because I got really into it. The ending was very intriguing. So I'll give the positives first and then the negatives as always. So here are my positives. So The Summer King is the second book in the Chronicles of Faerie series. There are 4 books in total, and I didn't really know anything about these books before I started reading them. I found the set at a thrift store and I bought it because it was only $1 per book. So I read the first book, The Hunter's Moon, several weeks ago, and I just finished The Summer King. And I thought that the characters from The Hunter's Moon would return in The Summer King, and they didn't, and I was a little bit disappointed, but I also understand why they didn't. Their story is finished, and The Summer King moves on with someone else. It is still set in the same world, basically. Like, the fairies are the same, and chronologically it makes sense. It only takes place a little while after The Hunter's Moon ends, and you can tell by certain things that are going on in Faerie. And Midir is mentioned, so I was very happy about that. So there were a few return characters. I guess Midir was really the only one, but he still didn't get very much book time, and I was disappointed about that because I really did like Midir in the first one, and I was hoping that this time he would get lots more book time. And he didn't, but that's okay. The characters were still good. I did like them. There's really only one main character this time, but I did like her. And I really liked some of the other characters that were brought in, like Leheen. That was really awesome. I also really liked the character Grace, but for some reason when I was recording this, I thought her name was Mary at this point in the video. I think I talk about her later and call her Grace, but she was just really cool. I really liked her. I thought she was a great character. Also, this is the second take of this because I forgot to press record the first time I did the voiceover, and then I didn't know what happened to the audio. Yeah, I don't do this very often, apparently. I liked Ian, so I really did like a lot of the characters, and Laurel, of course, the main character, I liked her too. But I think some of the side characters I liked a little bit more. Sorry if you can hear any other noise. I just started recording. It's been a very quiet day. I figured it would be a good day to record, and as always, as soon as I start recording, somebody goes into the kitchen to get food or to do something. So apologies if you can hear any of that. There were some big reveals in the book. Some of them I didn't know if I could trust or not. You know, I was like, I'll just have to see where this goes. But there were some really big reveals and plot twists, which was awesome. There were pirates in this book, and I love pirates. It's not set in pirate days, but there were still pirates in it because of how things work in Faerie, and it's kind of confusing. It was a little bit confusing to read sometimes, but the pirates were awesome. I really was glad to have pirates in the book. There is basically an enemies to lovers romance in the book, which is always fun. I think it counts as enemies to lovers. I really enjoyed it, so that was a definite plus. I love a little bit of romance in my books, so I liked the romance here, and I really liked the dynamic between Laurel and Ian. That was really great because they are in this adventure together for a good portion of the book, so the dynamic there was really fun. So Grace was one of the, I guess, side characters who I really loved, and things were very interesting with her because she seemed like she was going to be a really easy ally, and then at one point it seemed like she was going to be a really hard to beat enemy. And so you just never really knew what was going on with her, and that was always exciting and fun, but she was a really great character. I really liked her. I also appreciated in this book that good and evil were not really black and white. The side that you thought was good might not really be the good side. And it just kind of showed that there are always 2 sides to every story. And even if you think you know which side is right, and you think you're on the right side, hearing the story from the other side's perspective can completely change your viewpoint and change your mind. And I really appreciated that in this book. I like that in books where good and evil are not really black and white. Sometimes there's bad on both sides and there's good on both sides, and it's hard to know which side to really stand by because
because there is always good and bad on both sides. So I appreciated that in this book. The sides were not just black and white, fairy against whoever, or, you know, these people against these people, and you know exactly who to stand for. That's not how it was. It was hard to know who to root for, and I really do appreciate that in a book. So that was a definite plus for me. In my review of The Hunter's Moon, one of my negatives was that the battle felt rushed. Yeah, you can come in. You gotta behave yourself. So one of my negatives in The Hunter's Moon was that the battle felt very rushed, and there wasn't much leading up to it. It seemed like there was a whole nother plan, and then a chapter before the battle, they decided to have a battle. And the battle itself was only a chapter or so, and it just felt really, really rushed and really weak, and I was very disappointed with it. But that was not so in The Summer King. And this is kind of a minor spoiler, so if you don't want any spoilers, you can skip this. Just skip ahead a little bit. I don't know how long. Maybe even to the negatives. I will say that I really enjoyed the ending of this book. That'll be my final positive. But if you don't want to hear any spoilers, then skip to the negatives. But here we go. So the battle in The Summer King seemed very appropriate, and the timing of it seemed very appropriate, and there was a little bit more lead up to it. It was a last resort, something that Laurel didn't want to do. She didn't want to have to battle. So, you know, reading it, you weren't really sure if there was gonna be a battle, but it wasn't just sprung on you at the last moment. There was a little bit more lead up to it, and then the battle itself was bigger and longer, and it didn't drag at all, but it was so much more impressive and made a much bigger impact. So I felt like the battle this time was done so much better than the battle in The Hunter's Moon. So the battle this time was a positive, not a negative. It was much more climactic and bigger and longer, and it just felt like it belonged more. Then the ending, I felt again, was a little bit bittersweet, which the ending of The Hunter's Moon seemed kind of bittersweet to me as well, but a very good ending. I enjoyed it. I was happy with the ending, and I was happy with the whole book. So yeah, bittersweet ending, some questions that don't get answered until the very, very end, and you're kind of wondering how things worked out, and then you find out, and they worked out pretty well, in my opinion. So, bittersweet ending, but I was very happy with it. Okay, and now for the negatives. It did feel like there was a little bit slower of a beginning to this one. There wasn't as much action right away. There wasn't really a ton of action throughout the book anyway. Nothing really big, at least. There were a couple like small adventures and things that happened, but it didn't feel like there were any, you know, big action points throughout the book too much. But it picked up, though it was slow to begin, it did pick up throughout the book, and it didn't really feel like it dragged too much. But again, my interest wasn't pulled into this book as much as it had been in The Hunter's Moon. So another point kind of going along with that is that there was lots of description and less action. And you know that I don't really like description too much, so the description was beautiful, but I would prefer action over description any day. There's just a little bit more description than action, kind of tipped the scales the wrong way for me. I will say that during the battle, the times that the author put description in, it was perfect. It was short, just a couple sentences, it set the scene, and then you got right back into the battle. So during the battle scene, again, love the battle scene, the description was perfect. Those are actually the only two negative points that I have. So as you can see, I really did enjoy this book. I liked the characters, I liked the story and the action, and overall, another good book that I would recommend. Just keep in mind that this one's a little bit slower paced than The Hunter's Moon, at least in my opinion. Even though a lot of The Hunter's Moon was the main character just wandering Ireland in search of her friend, there was a lot more that happened while she was wandering. Whereas here, it was Laurel trying to complete her mission, and I don't know, it just felt a little bit slower to me. Maybe I'm not remembering The Hunter's Moon correctly, but in my opinion, this one was a little bit slower paced, and the timing was just different. I didn't like it quite as much as The Hunter's Moon, but I loved the ending so much more, and I loved the battle scene so much more, so really great book. I will someday probably give the whole series a reread. I don't think that'll be anytime soon because I just read these first two. I still have two to go, and I have so many other books I want to read. But it is a book series that I would reread. I do enjoy it enough to read it again. Anyway, that was my review of The Summer King. this beautiful blue book. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you're thinking about reading the Chronicles of Faerie, I hope that so far my 2 videos have helped you. I will be reading The Lightbearer's Daughter next, and after that I have to read The Book of Dreams, which scares me because it is 680 pages long. So here's The Book of Dreams, compared to The Summer King, which I just read, and it took me a while to read it. So this one's gonna take the longest, of course, but I'm expecting it to take a really, really long time, and I'm already stressing about it, even though I have one book to read before it. But hopefully I can get through them both in a timely manner.
Hi there, it's editing me again, and I just wanted to say that at the time of editing this, I have actually started the Book of Dreams. I've only read the prologue. I should have read more today, but I have actually finally started it, which means I have finished the 3rd book already, which is pretty awesome. And I'm just having kind of deja vu editing this. Usually when I edit videos, it's like several weeks later, and this one apparently isn't that much later because I remember saying a lot of these things. And I also repeated myself in my video reviewing The Lightbearer's Daughter, which is kind of interesting. So I don't know, it's just been kind of a weird editing day, but yeah, I just wanted to jump in and say that I've started reading the Book of Dreams, so wish me luck.
So that I can move on to other books. I have a couple other books lined up that I really, really want to get to, but I'm gonna finish this series first. I'm not giving up. Anywho, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and consider subscribing and sharing with your friends. Also comment. I really do like getting comments. And that's all for this video. So I'll hopefully see you in the next one. Have a blessed day, everyone.